I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello everyone, welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today I'm joined by Mr. Andrew Tansil. He is the CEO of a wellness retreat called Sayulita, which is Mexico's top plant medicine retreat. Today he's going to join and talk to me about his journey of what life was like pre-COVID until going to Mexico and opening up this business centered around psychedelic therapy. So he's going to be sharing with us a little bit about this journey and bring awareness to it. So Andrew, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. It's a pleasure. And yeah, excited to tell a little bit about the story of kind of how this thing got started. You want me to just jump into it, or do you have any specific questions?
We can start from the beginning, kind of start before this kind of before this journey started. What kind of led up to you deciding to open up this retreat?
Yeah, for sure. So, I had pretty bad mental health for like 10 years in my 30s. And I went like the traditional route, trying to get help through like, medication, doctors, meditation, ice therapy, breath work, kind of like the whole thing. And like, I just kind of like ran out to the end of the rope essentially. Like I didn't have many other options. And I'd spent like a couple $100,000 at the end of it, like trying to get help with coaches and stuff like that. So, I kind of given up like two or three times, and I really didn't know that psychedelics were like a therapeutic thing. Like I'd experienced, recreational mushrooms and stuff like that in my 20s. But like not having a lot of options, I answered an Instagram ad and went to go do a medicine called bufo and mushrooms, like down here in Mexico. And I had for whatever reason, like a really profound experience and like kind of got my mind and my life and my connection with like peace and happiness and things just back in my body. And I didn't really know what to think about that, but I was really grateful, and I was in a position where I have a lot of experience in events and experience in marketing, having marketing agencies, and so I knew that like a business like this would like be something that would be in my skill set. And also I was curious if this would work for other people, like it worked for me, because I knew there's like hundreds of thousands of people in the States that are suffering from like similar stuff or like even worse than I was at. And they probably were just like me. They didn't know that stuff like this existed. They didn't know that stuff like this could work for them. And so that was like the impetus of building this retreat down here in Mexico.
Did you have to kind of do any studying up about this kind of medicine and kind of get like some research done before you open the retreat, or kind of did you open the retreat and kind of go from there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first amount of research was my own experience, and then it was talking with the people that I had walked through that journey with, and so that was like stage one, and that was like 30 days of just kind of understanding what integration is, understanding, like what even happened. Like, you never really get like a complete explanation, but that things are different. And I learned and I watched, I kept going back with like the shaman that I was with. I kept watching them do other ceremonies and treat other people. And so I was learning like kind of, you know, just grassroots, like in the very early days. And then I did a little research in the market too. I looked into like what other centers are doing. I looked at what like psychedelic treatment centers are doing. I looked at what non-psychedelic treatment centers are doing for mental health. And I really built a program on what I thought was best out of the best, if that makes sense. And so that was the original offer was like this thing that was kind of an amalgamation of like all the things I really liked in the wellness space and the psychedelic space. And like with a really good foundation of like the therapeutic side of psychedelics, which is having like basically medically supervised treatments with therapeutic staff, clinical staff, like in combination with the intention and the ceremony and everything else that I believe is also a really important part of the psychedelic experience and especially the history of it and so forth. So yeah, that was like the research getting started.
When you moved to Mexico, did you have to have kind of an interpreter there, or were you able to kind of be able to communicate with locals about what you wanted to or had envisioned for the retreat? Did you have to kind of learn Spanish or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm blessed to be in an area where most people speak English here. There's just enough tourism where that's kind of cemented a lot of English speaking people here. And so that made it a lot easier. And then you've always got Google Translate as a backup. And we've always had English speaking practitioners and providers down to our chefs, like everybody. And so that makes it a lot easier is having like a lot of like English speaking people here. And so we also have international staff. So we started with like people from UK. We've got people from like Italy, we've got people from Spain, we've got people from Canada. It's like kind of all walks of life, like working in a center like this. And so yeah, it wasn't too difficult.
I think something that really is interesting is that in 1 month you actually was able to get 2 million social media views. Was there, how did you achieve that kind of view rate, and what's your content strategy after learning about seeing that you got where what was able to get 2 million views within just 1 month?
Yeah, like our social media, our marketing strategy in general has been the same since the beginning. It's omnipresence. And so like we create a lot of content, long form, short form, and then we blast it across like our YouTube, our TikTok, our Instagram, and like we're super consistent with it. And it's also like production quality content. So we have like a videographer on site. And it's just been super consistent. We've done this for years. And so if you just continue to like pump uh, content for literal years and you iterate and kind of find out what people like and you continue to improve in that stuff, like anybody would hit like numbers like that. I'm pretty confident. And so we're also telling really great stories. Like a lot of the people that go through the retreat and their testimonials are like heart-wrenching, they're amazing, they're powerful. It's couples that have like, on the edge of divorce that have saved their marriage and have rekindled like a new love in their life. Stuff like that is stuff that you just don't hear every day. And so it's a drama and it's powerful and it's revealing to the potency and the power of psychedelic medicine. And then you've got a lot of people also interested because your alternative is pretty much traditional therapy and pharmacology and things like that that people are kind of getting tired of and people are getting a little bit more wise to like other methods of healing. And so it's like a lot of curiosity has kind of led attention to our niche and our path here as well, which has helped.
So when people come to the retreat, what does a typical retreat experience look like once they arrive to the time they departure?
Yeah, so you get here, we have private drivers bring you from the airport. You get a mocktail put in your hand since the second you get here, and then we take you on a tour of the property. We've got like a world-class gym. We've got like 5 villas that are facing the ocean. We're 183 feet up off the water with right on the edge of a cliff, basically on top of a mountain. Super beautiful with infinity pool. And one of the first things we do is we have people like get a massage. Like, people have been traveling all day. And so they get a massage. We do opening ceremony where everybody gets together, kind of connects with everyone else and learns about what everyone else's intention is, like while they're here, and you get to share their own. And then we have a great dinner, and we have hypnotherapy to kind of like get everybody into that, like, clear state of mind about the journey that's ahead of them. And then that's like what the first day would look like coming to the retreat.
So is it kind of like big groups? Do you offer kind of big sessions or is it kind of condensed? What does the
Um,
ratio look like for when you do these sessions?
yeah, typically we're at like 8, 9, or 10 per retreat. And so that's usually like 2 or 3 couples, and then like other solo travelers that are just doing the retreat for themselves. That's usually our sweet spot per retreat.
What's been kind of the success rate from people that have gone through the retreat? Do you see a change in them from the time they arrive to when they leave?
Absolutely. I mean, what's important is that they see a change in themselves. And so, when you come to a retreat like this, you've got an intention and you have the opportunity to see things inside yourself and make those changes in a relatively short period of time. And luckily, psychedelics is a great lever at sort of opening those doors so you can make those changes. And then we've got incredible people and we've got an incredible like wellness program overall to help integrate this whole experience. And so, it's kind of a comprehensive journey of just like not really just doing plant medicine, but it's like really helping yourself get into your body, get relaxed. We do somatic movement, we do breath work, we do ice bath, we do anti-inflammatory menu to really help people just kind of flush out their body, and horseback riding, snorkeling, like a lot of stuff just kind of like get people to open up a little bit and have some fun and also like heal and take that time to like, sit with their emotions and let some things go so they can move on to that next version of themselves.
So, when it came to you using psychedelic medicine, what was your first experience like, and how did it change your perspective when it came to doing the business and for your life?
Yeah. Um, well, my first perspective was like just openness, you know? And I said that's for a lot of people. A lot of people come to find purpose, and like what they'll find here is this awareness that there's so many opportunities in front of them, right? And so, I'd found something I was looking for. I found peace, and I was looking for peace for, 10 years. And it was a blessing. So like I really didn't want anything else. Like the first idea wasn't to start a business around this. Um, it just like, I just resonated with how I felt for a period of time. And then, you start asking yourself questions. My question, like I mentioned earlier, is like, is this going to work for other people? And then, is this something that I would like to do? Like, heck yeah, that'd be so much fun. And it'd be meaningful and it'd be really cool if it worked and it ended up working. So we're lucky for that.
What's been the biggest misconception people tend to have about psychedelic therapy, and how do you kind of address it to them?
Um, I'd say that um, psychedelic therapy is something that's so far out there and just different and it's like this like surreal, unnatural reality. And like what I've experienced is like from seeing people go from like the super nervous, like never done this before, to like, okay, I get it. It's just an experience. It's something where you can open the door, you can feel emotions, you can see, my childhood or my healing or myself through a different lens, through a different perspective. And so I think like the biggest misconception of it being this kind of like wild outside the box thing, when it's like very similar to dreaming, is very similar to like using your imagination and just like being present with yourself and choosing your own reality, like within yourself, because like all these faculties that psychedelics open the door to are things that you can do in your day-to-day life. Maybe not like the super astral travel type things for most people, but just in a general sense of like really opening up your imagination, feeling emotions, and 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 visualizing and seeing a new life. It's something that there's no reason to be scared of. and it's something that like you'll simply see something beautiful on the inside, whether it's like, very easy to look at or something that's challenging to look at. It's a reminder that the door is inside of you. And so, um, I would say that that nervousness and that uncomfortability around like having access to that stuff is um it's not necessary. And of course it doesn't really help, but everybody's got it, so it's super normal, but I would say like dispelling that illusion that it's something that you don't have access to, and something that like you should be scared of. It's super beautiful. It's super beautiful as far as like what it helps us see, and how it helps us transform.
Some people see this such as a controversial, risky kind of idea that people like you're doing. How do you ensure safety and legitimacy in an industry where people still see this as being so controversial, risky, just really kind of defines whatever they believe in?
Yeah, I mean, doing great work and having all of the foundations that are necessary to create like a really safe journey. Like we've got private security here. We've got just really qualified, really vetted staff. We've got like a whole therapeutic program to help support like preparation, integration, aftercare. We've got like comprehensive support from a lot of really talented people to make sure that a journey like stays on track, and that people have the right support and like everything that they need like throughout this entire experience. It's a totally different experience having a retreat container than like doing a one-off with like a psychologist or a psychotherapist somewhere. And I'm speaking from experience because like I've had those like one-off journeys, and like that was before I had my journey down here. And I really learned that it's that preparation, it's that support, and it's like continuing to work through that stuff. Like after you go through the psychedelic experience that gets you really profound results. And so that's I'll say uh that's part of the stuff that is really important and really matters. And I mean, if you do that stuff consistently, you're like, our goal is always like get 80% of people the success that they're looking for, and they get to define success for themselves, obviously. And like the process of doing that has just been literally building and integrating like different aspects of the business and different people and different processes to make sure that people like are supported. Like, getting a mocktail when you get here, and like feeling like people are caring for you, and like doing the hospitality side, like while you're doing the therapeutic side, and having like doctors and medical check-ins and like registered nurses look over you, and psychologists that have done hundreds and hundreds of like these like individual treatments one-on-one, and you know uh just doing this and then learning from it and continuing to build a program that's really really potent and really effective at getting people the results is really how you it's like it's the same way you do anything. You develop a service or a product, you perfect it, and you make it your art. And that's something that we've done here. And that's how you make it great. That's how you make it great. And I think, you have to have ethics already. I think you have to be a good person, like just as far as pre-qualifications, just in general. Um, and then you gotta have standards. And so like that's something that like, I would, it has to be there for sure.
From the people that have been to the retreat, have you ever had people come back and share how it's been beneficial to them, or have you had anyone come back for another session, or do you kind of keep it to where it's kind of a one-time only thing?
Yeah, we just had a couple leave this morning. They're from Dubai. They just had a couples retreat for themselves. They had an absolute blast. They're all smiles. And yeah, they were like, we're coming back. Like one of the realizations they had at their retreat is that they're coming back next year. And so that's something we see pretty often. We also have people that come for like the mushrooms experience, like the psychedelic mushroom experience, and then like after they do that, they want to do the ibogaine, which is sort of the next step. And so, like oftentimes we'll have somebody come down from mushrooms and they'll come back, a month or two later and do the ibogaine. And so that's something that we see pretty often. And so, yeah, it's it's uh, it's something that like I think a lot of people, if you do it right, they're going to want to come back regardless. And a lot of people ask the question, how often should I come back? And I would say basically most people come back either like in a year, or like in the next quarter if like they feel like they need something else, and usually we get them set. and then just keep living your life, keep integrating, keep learning the lesson and applying the lesson in your life after you head back home. And so yeah, that's probably the general scope of what it looks like for like repeat alumni.
Some people, when they hear about this retreat where they can go get mushrooms, people tend to maybe see it as a way for them to get free drugs. Do you have some kind of way that you kind of or protocol that you go to see if they're actually here for therapeutic reasons compared to maybe just getting free drugs or coming there for drug related reasons?
Well, if somebody wants free drugs, you're gonna get it cheaper than flying to Mexico and going to a resort, So like that is not a super big problem. We do have like really good qualification process, like really thorough onboarding, and you're talking to multiple people before you even get to the retreat, as far as like getting to know like what's going on with you, like what problem are you attacking, like as far as like you're trying to solve, um, as far as like going to a retreat, and then we really get to know people in the process of kind of coming on board. And so, and we're also really clear with like what we're doing here. This is a place of healing. We reinforce that like throughout our marketing, throughout our communication, and it's really important for people to feel that and for people to understand that. And so we translate that really well. And if you want to just do drugs, like it's gonna be easier. It's gonna be easier to just go buy drugs than come here. I'll be honest, yeah.
For the future, where do you see psychedelic therapy heading towards in the next 5 to 10 years? And more importantly, what else would you like um or have planned for your retreat in the future? Is there anything else that you would like to expand on? Maybe do more kind of a international brand where you could do like a chain, or what are some goals that you have?
Yeah, so we've done this down here, and I've had some teasers to go do this in Europe as well. And I won't like reveal the location or anything, but it's something that like we're kind of testing the waters on as far as like midterm vision. And yeah, I mean, if they really do the legislation right in the States, I'm definitely down to hop over to the States and repeat a lot of the stuff that we do really well here. And so that's what I'm kind of keeping my eye on. Like it would either be something in Europe or something like closer to the States. And then a lot of our clients come from like New Zealand and Australia. And so it'd be nice to give them like a closer access point, but they're kind of on islands, literally. So the closest thing would probably be like in Asia to them. And so that would be like sort of like a good solution. But yeah, I would love to do like repeat the model we have here in Europe, repeat it in the States, and then at some point repeat it in like New Zealand, Australia. New Zealand especially has a lot of like mental health challenges, like with their people. They're really just spread out, and there's a lot of depression and stuff like that. So we get a lot of clients from there. But yeah, I would love to do something, and we're like, always dependent on legislation and governments and like how they're what they're allowing, and um right, and we do this in Mexico because like it's safe and it's legal and it's protected down here, and so we want to make like horizontal moves that are going to be just as similar as far as like safety for our clients and for us and for everything else.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who feel trapped in a successful business that's destroying their mental health?
I would say, parlay it. Take it for what it is. And if it's an asset, if it's like bringing your income, if it's a business and it has assets, like, use it to, either get access to help. Like that's one thing we see a lot, honestly, is like people are like burnt out, they're stressed out, maybe the 20 years in business, they're, a CFO, and like they're crushing it, but like they're just not sleeping at night and they're addicted to, prescription medication or something else. It's like, do something to like help reset yourself and your nervous system and your mind and get to a place where you're at peace again. And you know, if like I don't know, like what I did is kind of extreme, just like I just shut my business down and just kind of walked away and started something new. and something new kind of felt better. Um, but at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for yourself, and and stay grounded and make sure you're making like good decisions for yourself. And so there's not like one answer for everybody, but you know, like smooth transitions are definitely out there, and so like I would suggest that for most people.
If people are interested in maybe if they would like to maybe check the retreat out and maybe try this wellness retreat, where can they find it and what's kind of the steps that they can need to take when it comes to signing up to come to the retreat?
Yeah. Yeah, you can check our website, sayulitawellnessretreat.com, and we're also on like all the social medias.
Alrighty, well, Andrew, I appreciate you so much for coming on and sharing this, sharing your retreat and business with my audience. I think it's something that's, it's not going to be a fit for everyone, but for people that feel like this is going to be a beneficial thing, check into it. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to him and ask. He'll be more than happy to probably answer them for you. I'll put all of his links in the description box below of places where you can, the website where you can book um, a trip there to do the wellness retreat and also learn some information about the retreat as well as also follow them on social media. Feel free to follow me on the socials as well. Instagram and TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And as always, listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcast from. Available on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's everywhere. So feel free to follow there and so that you'll be notified when new episodes drop. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today's episode. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Lethal Venom.